We're live. Good morning. Welcome to the Sports Crew podcast. As Today is episode 6. We're talking about the Yankees offseason. Your host Javi, and we have my guest Matt.
How you
Matt,
guys doing?
pretty sure this is a different vibe from last week's show. Obviously, I want to start off with a very easy question. What happened and what was the blame for the season ending?
I don't think there's really blame. I think the Houston Astros are just that much of a better team than us. I mean, it's just proven year in and year out what they do. They run very well from top to bottom. Basically, what everybody asked them to do is after they were caught cheating. Everybody wanted them to prove that it wasn't, they could do it without the cheating. And so far, they've been doing it without the cheating, which, I guess makes the cheating scandal a little worse. But at the end of the day, they're still a phenomenal team, phenomenal players. So it's not surprising. But I mean, I don't know who I really blame. I guess I blamed. I don't really like blaming anyone because the team just performed so bad. But I guess I blame the hitting coach the most. I don't think you changed your philosophy once, and you kind of just kept going with the same old Yankee philosophy instead of maybe switching. I mean, when you were down 2-0, maybe you switch something up. When you're down 3-0, and you were getting dominated like 30 plus strikeouts in 2 games. Like that was
Yeah, that
pretty
was
bad.
bad.
There was no changing of the swing, changing of the approaches. It's a little bit on the players too, obviously, but I mean the hitting coach should have a bigger emphasis on telling them to switch their approaches, get a little more contact in there. Because I mean, you saw when if you watch game 4 when they got swept. I mean, yes, they hit the home run, but it was a lot more contact, a lot more singles, and they scored 4 runs against a pitcher that just shut out the Mariners in his last start. So I don't think they did enough to change anything. So I think the hitting coach. I mean, there's a lot of to blame. You can blame Cashman, Boone, but just to not be the generic fan, I'll blame the hitting coach.
um, when we lost, at least maybe not the first day, but definitely that entire week of, I kept watching videos of kind of people talking about the off season, and there's so many people you blame differently. You saw a lot of Boone blame for his decision making, which definitely played a factor. You saw a lot of Cashman blame because of the construction. You saw a lot of people say the analytics. You know why? I think Michael K was the one that said it. You seen? He
Mhm.
said, "How is it that Yankees are like a billion? They're worth $1 billion, yet people analytics such as like Houston and Tampa, their analytics seems better, their use of it is better." But I think if I had to go down the list and put like let's say number one, definitely the offense. And like you said, the hitting coach, you never saw him address the media, which sucks because I kind of wish they kind of asked him like, has he ever made an adjustment all season? Like you said, I think the pitching was fine, at least starting pitching. Obviously bullpen. I don't want to blame Clark Smith for his bad play. I want to blame obviously Boone for not um play him as much towards. I feel that towards the end of the season, I think Talking Yank said this. If you're gonna experiment, such as Tyone coming out the bullpen, Clark Smith or Herman, you got to test it out. He didn't
Mhm.
test it out. He just said that he's gonna do it, and then he basically didn't put Domingo until we lost, and then Tyone only pitched the first game out the pen, which he again never done before. And then with Clark Smith, like you weren't even playing him the week before as much. So like, why don't you actually experiment after you clinch the division with these specific pitchers and players and then go about it. That's one of the things, obviously the offense. And then I think I'm trying to think who it was. Maybe it might have been Michael K as well. He said a lot of us want to blame Judge, which I'm not blaming him. He performed terribly. When you look at Judge's season, you would I don't want to say expected him, but you wanted him to produce for this offense to obviously go. But a lot of people are giving passes to people like Trevino, and obviously you look at catchers, they just play defense. But we definitely needed him. And then Stan, I know he had a really good OPS because his home runs, but 125 batting average. I mean, like he just hit the home runs in the key situations. So the offense obviously didn't click, and I don't want to make this an excuse of obviously we didn't have DJ and Benintendi because usually the injuries are always kind of one of the excuses, but like it definitely would have been a different ball game. And then of course with Matt Carpenter coming back, you expected him to, you know, I don't want to say you expected him to, but you want him to produce like he used to, but he just didn't. So it was really a tough ending, and now we're looking on to the off season. And I did have my next question. I don't want to say change because obviously we saw Boone is coming back, but like, do you see any type of, I don't want to say player change and maybe not specifically front office change, but do you see any changes in terms of GM, hitting coach, the analytic team? Like, is there any changes going on between them?
I don't think it'll be any major changes. Like I think the whole staff will probably be coming back. I'm sure Cashman will also probably be coming back. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's more little things behind the scenes that get switched, like you just said. Maybe some of the analytical department, gets flipped around and things like that. I know we all love trashing Cashman and Boone, but I mean, this is also, as much as this is eating us, it's also eating them that they're not winning and they're not producing. I mean, they might not show it on the camera, on the TV prod, and stuff like that, but it's definitely eating him alive. You could tell. They definitely want to win, and they want to do everything possible. I just think I think they're overthinking a lot. I think a lot of Cashman's decisions, which I don't think, look, Cashman's a very good GM. If he were to eventually stop trying to, try to be a little bit Tampa Bay Rays and switch to be a little bit more like the old Yankees, then he'd be really fine. But he's trying to get these budget players on budget deals, which is nice, but there was no reason to give up Gio Urshela, who's cheaper, to go get Josh Donaldson because he wanted a stopgap shortstop.
You've
It
seen
does
that
it
interview,
doesn't
right?
yeah,
He's not Josh
Donaldson.
Donaldson.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we know he's
It
not.
doesn't a lot of his decisions recently haven't made sense. And I mean, he is. I mean, I don't think he's a terrible GM. I don't think he's anything crazy. I think it's kind of weird that a lot of the um, MLB rival executives like put him as like the best GM in baseball. But if you really actually look at it, if he wasn't on the Yankees, he would have been fired anywhere else. Because how many teams could justify giving Jacoby Ellsbury a 7-year contract and being able to work it out? How many teams could justify not taking Josh Donaldson for 2 years and have him play like this, or give Aaron Hicks that contract and now that's a lot of money that only probably 5 teams in the MLB could afford to have those contracts and still compete at a high level like the Yankees are. I mean, they're just giving them really bad contracts right now, and he's kind of getting lucky that it's New York Yankees where you have a $250 million payroll. If he did this for the Pirates, he'd have been fired because they would have been nothing.
No, 100%. I definitely would love to see, and it's funny, this is maybe going back since 2017, 2018. The analytic department always kind of got a little bit of blame for it, and you never saw like an announcement that, oh, I mean, I don't know how you would announce the analytic team got fired like you would with a coach or something. But they definitely have to make some type of changes with that. Even if you keep the analytic department, maybe use it differently than you would, because I feel that a lot of Boone's decisions are very to the point. Because Michael K again, his rant, that one was amazing because he was talking about how when you look at how what's it Boone managed compared to Dusty Baker, they both use analytics, but Boone is very, we need Lou Trevino to come in over Cole because obviously maybe Cole is at 95 pitches and he's gonna throw a sinker ball, but he was throwing sliders, first of all. That's
Yeah.
one. And then two, Cole is your ace. Cole is the guy you paid for. So if you're gonna pay for Cole, you need to put him in. And let's say hypothetically you take Cole out. You're not gonna put Lou Trevino in to throw sinkers. Like you want to put your best reliever, which at the time you could have said it would have been whether it was Loizaga, Clay Holmes, or Wandy. Like you don't put Trevino in that position. You
Mhm.
don't. So I do think that they're probably going to bring back Brian Cashman, sadly, and I don't want to say he's a bad GM, but I don't want to say he's a good GM because, as you've seen, it's been obviously shown that Harper and the Machado deals those years was like would have been great if they were Yankees, but of course he went for the long game trying to get Cole, and then Stanton obviously at the time looked great, but he's only been a DH. He doesn't stay on the field. And then when he plays, he's really a home run hitter. He's not, you really never see a high average. And it would have been great to have more versatility with that DH spot than just being staying 22 million there. So I don't know how much front office change they're gonna make. The only, I don't want to say change addition I really want out of anything front office wise, whether you keep Cashman, obviously you're keeping Boone, the analytics team, is I really do want Derek Jeter to be a part of the team, somewhat as like you said, a CC Sabathia role a while back, but maybe a little more involved because I know CC is kind of an advisor, but I never see or heard anything that CC has actually done. I think he's kind of just getting a check to show his face maybe on TV then and there and talk on podcasts. That's probably how I
Yeah, I
see
mean the Derek Jeter
CC.
hype's not real. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
guys all
know.
just think because he was a good player that it's going to translate. It didn't translate in Miami. He didn't really do anything there. Like you guys just the
But
Derek
it
Jeter
was
love
different.
affair is different. I mean,
I
you
feel like it
guys.
was different with Miami though because they weren't allowed to. They had a different situation than the Yankees do because with Miami you had to get rid of a whole bunch of contracts and rebuild while we're trying to retool. And with Miami, he said like the owner isn't kind of like Hal Steinbrenner. I know Hal Steinbrenner is not like his dad at all, but he definitely spends more than Miami. So I just feel like his IQ would have at least been better in terms of let's not make this Josh Donaldson trade. Like I don't think that's a good trade. Like that, I feel like would have been a no brainer. I don't know why Cashman did that, but
Well, I mean, yeah, but the Derek Jeter's not gonna have that much say to tell Brian Cashman no or
no, I'm not
yes.
saying he's gonna like have
Yeah.
so much say, but I just wish he was at least in
I think you
somewhat the
guys are too much in a love
organization.
affair with Derek Jeter wanting to come back because you miss him and stuff like that. But
Definitely do.
it's not gonna be what you think it would be if he came back.
Yeah, I feel like it probably wouldn't be. I just really feel like his mind would have at least helped with some like advisements of some things to do because like you said, there's so many no-brainer stuff that the Yankees could do, but they're trying to be so much like Tampa Bay with being strategic and trying to be creative. And it's like you don't have to do that when some of the obvious moves are right in front of you. And obviously with some of the obvious moves being right in front of you, I was gonna ask what would be your top priority in free agency in terms of position wise, like whether you think the left field is top priority or shortstop. What do you think is your priorities?
Mm, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna exclude Aaron Judge because that should probably be their top priority. But excluding him, I think shortstop's fine. I think unfortunately, you're still gonna have Isaiah kind of for left for probably one more season unless they dump him. But I mean, you have Peraza, you have Volpe, you have guys that they could at least give a shot to compete for that. But I don't think they'll hand it to IKF, but I think there'll be a position battle there for sure. But I think left field is definitely priority number one. It's a black hole ever since Brett Gardner left right now. I mean, Gallo hasn't done anything there. We have, Benintendi was really good and then got hurt, so you didn't see much. Oswaldo Cabrera cannot play there consistently out there. I mean, it was really good to see Oswaldo Cabrera play at a high level at the end of the year, but then you really saw him get overmatched in the playoffs. You saw, when the really good pitching comes out, he really didn't do anything crazy. But I mean, the issue is I think left field's big. I think potentially you have to build the bullpen the right way too. I think they got to get rid of this. I see everybody want Edwin Diaz. No Edwin Diaz. You get Edwin
I
Diaz off
agree.
the no Edwin Diaz. We don't need him. You don't need to spend 20 million or 17 million or 18 million on a reliever that's going to pitch one inning.
Agreed.
Who just had his best season in a career where surprise like Aaron Judge is a free agent. So these guys are trying to play for money. When they play a little bit better. You got to do the bullpen how the Astros do the bullpen, how the Dodgers do the bullpen, how the Rays do the bullpen. They're finding cheap guys, to go out there and perform, without giving them big contracts,
I agree.
But for me, priority number one's left field. That's been a black hole. Center field's gonna be Bader. Obviously, right field can become an issue if they don't re-sign Judge, but it is what it is. You just got to wait with that. Second base, also fine. They have enough guys there to work it out. Include whether Glaber gets traded or something like that. There's enough guys there. But I would say left field and probably first base too. If Rizzo does opt out, there's not a lot of options. We don't have a lot of options either behind us. But I'll be interested to see. I know a lot of the reports are saying that he is going to
Up
get
though.
opt. He's going
Yeah.
to opt out, but I'm curious to see if he really does because I mean I don't know how many teams are going to pay him more than 16 million at 32, 33 years old. I mean, unless he wants a reunion back with the Cubs, I don't see too many teams paying 17 million, 18 million for Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah. So I think one of my top priorities, and it's funny that we agree on this, is left field. And like everyone say, oh, what about right field? What about Judge? I mean, the thing with Judge is that one, I kind of expect them to go for him too. I don't want to say I'm going to be mad if they don't go for him because obviously his playoff performances, but you do need him for the regular season to obviously just make it. Because if we didn't have him, we wouldn't even be talking about his playoff performance because we wouldn't be there. But left field is so strong for me for a few reasons. I was looking at it this morning and thinking, you look at the lineup, whatever lineup you want to do, even if hypothetically, I'm not saying they're going to, but hypothetically, even if you got a big shortstop like a Trey Turner Correa, whatever you do, right? Hypothetically, you still don't have enough lefties in the lineup. You look at the lineup, you only probably see if you resign everyone. Rizzo, Benintendi, and maybe Cabrera if he plays third base or he's a utility man or whatever you do. It's not much lefties. The only way you would have a good amount of lefties is if hypothetically Carpenter resigns and they play him like they did in the beginning of the year and he plays the way he did. And if somehow Cabrera plays third or whatever he plays, and you re-sign Benny and Rizzo. That's the only way you have a good amount of lefties. But there's a lot of what ifs to happen with that. So I think left field is very big. Trying to re-sign Benintendi, that's my priority. I want Benintendi because not only is he a Gold Glove, because you said in the playoffs we saw Cabrera, obviously a couple bloopers and stuff, and then they tried Hicks, and then they've tried so much in left field and it hasn't worked. Um, He needs to play left field. He's a contact bat, and he's one of the priorities. Now, Rizzo, I really hope Rizzo resigns with us for a few reasons. One, he's a great leader, as we saw in the clubhouse. Number two, with the shift being banned, I think that's going to help him a lot with his batting average. I'm not saying he's going to be a 300 hitter, but it's not going to be in the 220s, maybe
Hmm.
240s. Hope 250, because I definitely see it being 240s for sure. That's my second priority. Of course, the two lefties we have to resign because we don't have much lefties. Now, I for some reason I have a gut feeling and it sucks, but I think Matt Carpenter is probably going to be a Cardinal. If I hope he resigns with the Yankees, at least to be a platoon guy and just
I don't want him. I'm done with him. It was a good it was a good experiment for a couple months, but the guy's about to be what, 36, 37 years
yeah.
old.
But if you get him for cheap, like extremely
Yeah, but
cheap, I
what? That's just
mean,
a wasted bench bat. He can only
who else are you gonna get? What, Marvin
you
Gonzalez?
can find other utility players, not Marwin, but you can find better guys than Matt Carpenter to do something.
I mean, I know
And you guys
he,
have a love affair with Matt Carpenter because of
yeah,
what he
because
did
his
for that
first, yeah,
stretch,
that's
but
that
that was an
stretch.
unreal stretch. That it's not.
It kind of was, but
It's not in line with what he has done in his career. It's out of
no, yeah,
pocket.
when you look, I mean, he supposedly, from what you heard from the coach and stuff, he made his adjustments when we got him, and that's why we obviously got him. But then the injury happened, and of course, when you come back from injury, you're not gonna just hit dramatically good because you got to get in the rhythm of things. So I don't know. I kind of would love to see at least a season of him,
I'm not
even
gonna
if
be
it's cheap.
mad if they get him back, but I don't think they need to target him. I don't think they need to make him
I'm
a
not saying they need
priority.
to
I don't
target
think they
him.
even need to like think about him until the end. Like if the Cardinals want to
Yeah,
sign him early, let the Cardinals sign him early. It's not that big of a deal.
I'm just saying if you get him for a very cheap contract, like let's say the vet minimum or something like that, like I wouldn't mind getting him back because I don't see any other person that's a free agent that could fill a bench spot like him because of how potentially good his bat is. And if he's not a good bat, I mean, he's probably better than what you're gonna get from someone like Aaron Hicks or Marvin Gonzalez. So Marvin Gonzalez plays defense, yes, but that's why you got Cabrera now. I mean, maybe you could get another utility guy, but I definitely want the lefties in the lineup. That's one. And then after that, I don't see the Yankees really getting anybody in terms of free agency of a big name. Not just a big name, but I see a lot of re-signing, whether it's Judge, Benintendi, Rizzo, and obviously you're gonna opt Sevy to come back. I the only person I could probably think of, you're not getting Diaz. I'm sorry, you're not. And like you said, we spoke about this a while back with Chapman, Britton.
Hmm.
I don't want to spend so much money on one reliever
Yeah.
when you have so many good relievers in your team.
Mhm.
I think the only person they might spend on is it's a might. If they don't, then they're not doing anything else but resigning. Is a pitcher that I keep hearing, Carlos Rendon. I've been hearing about him for so while for like a long time. If you don't sign him, maybe they might trade for a pitcher, but you don't see your three, your no, your 4 and 5 being not Severino, Hermang maybe or Clark, because Frankie is gonna be probably your fourth. I think you would go
Yeah.
Cole,
The thing is, they
Nestor,
have five
Sevy.
pitchers. They have
Yeah,
I mean, four pitchers right now. You're
Tyone
gonna
is not
have
coming back.
Tyron's not coming back. You're gonna have Cole, Nestor, Severino. That's your top three. Then
100%.
Montas is coming. Then you just trade for him, and obviously
Yeah.
he was hurt, so I'm excited to see what he could
He's
do
gonna be a
in a
fourth,
healthy season.
guaranteed.
That's your four starters right there. It's your fifth spot. They're not spending 20 million on Carlos Rendon. That's not happening either, especially now with these Yankees. That's done.
Probably
The
not,
only
yeah.
thing that could happen is if you trade Gleyber Torres or somebody to like Miami, that almost happened for Pablo Lopez. They'll trade probably for a starter, or I don't think I think they'd be content with Domingo being their fifth starter, but I don't think Clark Schmidt will get the call. I think they want Clark Schmidt to be the next Michael King, and he's just not the next Michael King, you
I think
know.
he'll be in AAA.
But
At
yeah,
least not at the start because I think we do have some injuries in the bullpen, so
mm,
maybe they might need him. But
yeah, he'll probably
whenever it's
start
healthy,
as
he'll
like a
go
long
back.
reliever for the bullpen. But I don't think that they're gonna sign a starting pitcher. I don't think there's a need to sign a starting pitcher. The pitching was fine. If anything, I'd like to allocate more of that money to the hitting. I don't think they need to spend money on a pitcher. They did enough of that. They're gonna have to. You're going to have to re-sign Severino after this year anyway. You're going to have to eventually re-sign Cortez. I don't know how many years of arbitration, but he's been around the league for a while. So, I mean,
Right.
they're eventually going to have to re-sign him if you want to. So there's a lot of guys that need to re-sign and the trades that could happen with guys that are on contract. So, I mean, there's always a, out of the blue move, nobody saw Tyone coming here. And then, they got him because he had a couple years of eligibility on his contract left. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they spend on and who they spend on, but I'm not really expecting anything big pitching wise coming from Cashman in the front office.
Yeah, I was saying, like, I'm not saying they're gonna get Carlos Rendon, but that's the only person who I could see that they would maybe target because you don't really hear anything on, for example, like a Trey Turner or any shortstop because you have so many shortstops. And other than hypothetically, let's say Turner and Correa, which you're not gonna get, who else is really out there that they would even target offensively?
Yeah, I think it's a heavy shortstop class. I wouldn't really hate if they looked into Xander Bogaerts. I think Xander Bogaerts is a really good player, but I don't think that would happen. But other than that, I don't think this free agency class, besides shortstops, is as crazy as
Yeah,
as
who are
two
you getting
years ago's
offensively?
was, and stuff like that. I think the thing with the Yankees is what's very frustrating is I don't think they're very far off from being like they're still making the playoffs with a very, very flawed team and a lot of injuries and things that go wrong. So I don't think they're far off if they keep this team. And a lot of people are like, oh, but they gotta, oh, they're not winning. They're making it, but they're not winning. But at the end of the day, they're not like that far off. If you just get a couple more lefty bats, throw in a contact hitter here and there, they have enough power. You don't need the prototypical is that all the corners in MLB are all power guys. They hit for home runs. The Yankees don't need a third baseman that hits 25 home runs. They really don't. They don't need that guy. They need a guy that could hit, maybe 280 with 20 home runs or 15 home runs, but they don't need a guy that's going to be drastically hit, like a Josh Donaldson. They don't need that. They don't
At
need the pop from
all.
Josh Donaldson. They need more contact ability because, as you see, yes, the Astros won with home runs, but they had guys on base that either got walks or got hits, and then the big guys come up and hit the
Yeah.
home run. I think there just needs to be a top-down philosophy. Aaron Judge cannot be batting second. I am sick of Aaron Judge batting second. He needs to bat third or fourth. It can't be this anymore. Oh, he gets more at bats in the two hole. Who cares if he hits a 3-run home run? I don't care if he gets an extra at bat in the ninth inning when we're
Yeah,
down
he needs to
15 to
be
nothing.
third, and then
I just don't care. He needs to bat later in the lineup. They need to get table setters. That's the difference between the Yankees and the Astros. The Astros have table setters. They have Altuve up there, and he did terrible, and we still got swept. They have
he was
Altuve.
0 for 23, and they still kept him at leadoff spot because
Yeah.
that's their
Mhm.
thing. They wanted to still keep him there
Yeah,
no
we need
matter
to get
what.
more consistent with our lineups. We can't be switching guys around. If we get DJ and Benintendi, those two guys back, those two guys need to bat 1 and 2. They cannot put anything else but that. Aaron Judge needs to bat third or fourth to drive guys in if he comes back. Because then you could go and then look, now your fifth spot would be Anthony Rizzo if he resigns too. So I mean, it's very frustrating because what's the definition of insanity? Doing it over and over and over again, expecting a different result. That's all they're doing. They're going to Houston over and over and over again with the same philosophy from 2017, with the same, not the same players, but similar player styles to what they had in 2017. And we're coming up with the same result each year, an exit either in the wild card, exit in the DS. Well, not really. If they, one exit in the DS, but or a championship series, and just the same thing over and over again. It's not worth it. And I think they definitely need to make some type of philosophy change. I think that's the biggest thing for the Yankees. Not players. It's not spending more money. It's this. It's a philosophy change. They need to. They
The
need to.
approaches
They
offensively.
need to fix their philosophy from top to bottom. It can't be this anymore. They're just stubborn. They want it to work with the way they want it to work, and it's not working.
No,
So
yeah, that is a huge issue with I don't want to say specifically one person, but I'm gonna just say the Yankees. They are stubborn to admit when they're wrong. For example,
mhm.
the Hicks, obviously they kept trying to play him. I remember at one point, and it's like, why are you still playing him?
Yeah.
He's not good. Same. Eventually, Gallows, they kind of admitted that they were wrong by eventually trading him, but it took a while for them to do that. Of course, that's
Yeah.
another one. There, who else was Josh Donaldson? You had him start at third base every game in the playoffs when you clearly could have like at least put kind of for left at third
Third,
base or
yeah.
try. You could have done
Could have
anything.
switched
Cabrera,
something up to get some more contact in that lineup instead
that
of that.
was. I don't get why you were so stubborn with that. Like it's fine to admit you're wrong if it's gonna come for a championship. Then no
Yeah,
one's gonna care if you're wrong because you made the
exactly.
adjustments. Like look at
Yeah.
Philly. They got rid of their manager. They got rid of Didi. They didn't care who they got rid of, and they're in the World Series. They
Mhm.
understood that they had problems and they try to fix it.
Yeah.
You have to adjust. And you was one of the people who said it way before I heard Michael K say it recently. Their approach offensively is so bad because you look at I'm pretty sure Dylan Lawson, of course, he wants to work counts. You got to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Houston is
I saw
aggressive.
I saw a stat the other day that people that's except for the Yankees, either the Yankees took 70% or the Astros like threw 70% of first pitches as strikes, and that was the only way teams were beating. Like the teams that beat Houston were swinging early in the count because they knew that they were going to get a good strike. What did the Yankees do? Ball take strike right down the middle, strike right down the middle. Oh no, now I
Yeah.
got to swing, and they a very good pitching staff in Houston. All right, let me show you a really nasty slider that's going to look like a strike for 55 feet and then break off. And then we look like idiots out there swinging. So, I mean, it's just a bad philosophy. They try to work the count. You can't do that in the playoffs. Everybody's got a good staff. Everybody's got good bullpen pieces in the playoffs. Yes, it could work in the regular season because when you face a team like I don't know, let's say the Angels, who really aren't that good. Yeah, you could work their starter out of the game and then hit their really bad bullpen, but you can't do that in October. You can't make pitchers work. If you saw, the Astros were very aggressive against Garrett Cole. They were very aggressive against Nestor Cortez. They were waiting.
They had like
They were
20
up
pitch
there ready to
innings
hit.
the
We're up
first
there
one.
ready to walk and try to not try to pass the baton. Get up there and hit. And another thing too with the philosophy thing, the Astros and Yankees were in the same position this year. Astros just lost their best shortstop. We didn't really have a shortstop. But what do? They start their rookie prospect. We need a baby hours. We need a stopgap shortstop. No, look at the difference. Their guy got better as the year went on and is now going to be a potential superstar. Our guy, we don't even know what Peraza can be. Yeah, he had 300. It was in what, 10 games?
Oh,
That could have
yeah.
been a 10-game stretch that Josh Donaldson had in his, so you don't really know. It's just really frustrating with the Yankees right now.
It's funny. I saw a few YouTube videos. I think after last season ended with the shortstop problem. Do we get a shortstop such as Correa? Do we get a stopgap? Do we bring the guys up? And a few of them were saying, why don't we bring up the guys up to see what they have, and not only see what they have, they can develop, because it probably will benefit them in the long run, and maybe it'll hurt us in the short run in terms of kind of the season records, but eventually you're preparing more for October. And look, they was right. You should have put the young guys. And speaking with the young guys, I'm gonna obviously turn to the next question. What do you see your infield being next year? Because I think I'm be honest, whoever you get at left field, there is gonna be which I'll get to that in a sec. I keep hearing Nimmo. I don't want Nimmo, and he's probably going to Seattle. I hope he goes there. Benintendi, let's say, Bader and Judge at right field. And then your infield is, you don't know. You hopefully you get Rizzo. Let's say you get Rizzo at first base, right?
Okay.
What happens from second, short, and third?
Yeah, I think it's really it's gonna be really interesting to see. I think it's gonna be really hard to move Josh Donaldson, but excuse me. But I don't think it's impossible. What's good is that the Rule 5 draft is coming back this year. So the Yankees are going to have a lot of players that are going to be Rule 5 eligible that they could package with Josh Donaldson, with the top 10 prospect, probably, to get rid of him. Will the Yankees admit that mistake? I don't know. So I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Donaldson is back again, unfortunately. But I mean, if they could trade him, it would be great. I would put, if you could trade Josh Donaldson, then you wouldn't have to trade Gleyber Torres. But the Yankees, being the Yankees, I think are going to end up keeping Josh Donaldson and end up trading Gleyber Torres. That is my prediction of what's going to happen. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's the other way around. But it's good. I mean, I know, I think Gleyber could also use a change of scenery. I mean, he did play better, but I think he's a really good player that is just, it's a mental thing now with this kid. You almost got traded and then you're back. And then, now they're thinking, they have prospects that are going to come up and take your job eventually. So I think it's kind of tough for him right now to be here, but I would love him back because I think, he had a rebound season this year. He showed that he can be productive again. But I think Donaldson's back. Shortstop, I hope it's Peraza, but again, IKF still has another year on his contract too. And then, you come back, I think LeMahieu at second base with Oswaldo Cabrera sprinkling in here and there. If Rizzo doesn't come back, then I think LeMahieu plays first for a while. Then you keep Josh Donaldson, unfortunately, and then second base. If Rizzo doesn't comes back, nobody gets traded. If Rizzo doesn't come back, because then you're just gonna have Gleyber. It's gonna be the same team going in again and again.
Yep. No
I
changes.
think the only thing that you can hope for is that you could somehow trade Josh Donaldson, and then that would open up a lot of opportunities. I mean, personally, I'm not mad if Isaiah Kiner-Falefa comes back. I don't want him to play shortstop,
I
but
agree.
I'm not mad if he comes back. I think it's a really good bench bat to have for us because he plays, second, third, and and has contact ability, can steal bases. I don't know. So I'm not mad if he comes back. I don't want him starting at shortstop, but I'm not going to be totally, oh man, we're starting him at shortstop. It's the worst thing ever. For me, it's Josh Donaldson. That's the key. If he's back here, then I don't care what we could sign. Barry Bonds could come back fully healthy, and I wouldn't even care about next season. I'm just not excited about him. I think he's done. He was a very good player a couple of years ago. Still playing well at a high level, but the guy's 36 years old. His philosophy is terrible because you see guys like obviously Derek Jeter's an anomaly. He's one of the best players ever, but his hitting philosophy was look for fastball down the middle, hit it the other way. That's what a lot of hitters should be doing because they try to guess pitches. If you notice, Judge does it too a little bit. They try to guess, and I get it. It's a guessing game. Oh, this guy has this and this count, and a 2-1 count, he throws a fastball 90% of the time. But I mean, I was laughing with the director here, Jason Piccolomini. Last night we watched a video. It was a 2-minute video of Josh Donaldson
The montage
of
striking out.
striking out
Yes,
on
I saw
fastballs
that.
right down the middle.
I
I
saw
mean, you can't. He's shaking his head over there.
that.
I mean, Josh Donaldson is a guy that guesses up there. And currently, right now, every time he guesses one way, it's coming the other way. If he was just up there to hit the ball, just say, have a simple approach. Fastball, look for the fastball down the middle, slap it the other way. He would have had a phenomenal season. I mean, that was 2-minute video. If it's Playoff Gabe, if you want to look it up on Twitter, a 2-minute video of him striking out on pitches right down the middle or swinging and missing on pitches right down the middle. You can't do that. You can't do that as a major league player. It's the easiest pitch to hit. I'm sorry. What are you looking for? A slider in the lower outside quadrant? No, you should be looking for a fastball right down the middle. And he's just swinging and missing. Some of them were hanging sliders that, I mean, if any of these other guys got, they're going 500 feet, probably out of Yankee Stadium. But this time it's going negative feet and he's walking, like Jason said his favorite thing is watching Josh Donaldson take off his helmet, put it down right at home plate, and look like nothing even happened. I mean, my friend said Josh Donaldson's a perfect player for men, for gray, because every time he strikes out, he just takes his helmet off. You see all the gray hair there. I mean, it is unbelievable that he is playing, that they thought he was going to be a good player, and that they're going to now have to pay him more money when we're the Yankees, and we're not the Yankees anymore. We're $25 million. We could have ate that up like nothing. Now, that's going to be a big chunk into our payroll, and we're not going to be able to probably get a better player than him.
Yeah, the Josh Donaldson thing. I was gonna say if you do trade him, I mean you could trade prospects with him, but you don't think that hypothetically Gleyber Torres could be involved in that deal? Like it's pretty hard to move him.
I mean, you could, yeah, that's the thing. It's going to be very hard to move him. I don't think they would part with any of their top prospects. I don't think they, just to get rid of him, I don't think they would, part
No, I'm
with
not saying top
Dominguez. No,
prospects.
I was just, but I think they might have to package 2 top 10 prospects to get rid of him. I mean, that's a lot of money, and a good team is probably not going to take him. So you'd have to trade him to like a bad team, like for example, like Cincinnati Reds. That's a rebuilding team. They don't have high payroll. They might be interested in taking Josh Donaldson if that means the Yankees give him a couple Rule 5 guys or a couple top picks to rebuild. Because for them in their mindset, okay, fine, we get Josh Donaldson this year. The best part about Josh Donaldson, he still has an extra year on the contract. But he has it's a club option. So, but you still have to pay him, I think, $10 million even just to buy him out. So you still have to do all stuff like that to get rid of Josh Donaldson. So it's going to take a lot to get rid of him, which is why I think they unfortunately move on from Gleyber Torres more than they move on from Josh Donaldson. But I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see what they do. I think Josh Donaldson is the single, I'm not free agency, just players on the roster right now. He is the single most important Yankee because he could either cost this team again next year, or they could get him going. They could free him, get him going, and then I'll believe in the Yankees if they could somehow free him and get him going.
That is definitely to me one of their biggest holes on this team. Him, obviously Hicks too, but Hicks, it doesn't matter anymore because you have obviously a center fielder and you have your kind of outfield set. My infield would probably be, you have to have Rizzo at first base. I want to say shortstop has to be Peraza. It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my biggest concerns is third and second. I want DJ to play, but obviously I don't want him to get hurt. So
yeah, they need a
it's
little
tough with
load. They
that.
need to start load managing DJ LeMahieu. I mean,
They have to.
it might stink because you might lose a couple games, but in the regular season. But I think it's worth it if he's healthy. You can see if he's not healthy. 2021, we didn't have him for the wild card series versus the Red Sox. You saw that was a big loss. This year, you see it's a big loss when he's not leading off and getting on base and putting pressure on the pitcher. So he needs to be healthy the whole year. That's where I think Oswaldo Cabrera comes in and really helps the Yankees because he could eat up some of DJ's innings to keep DJ fresh. And I think I am sick and tired of the Yankees hoping for the best result. If he was hurt in August with that foot injury, let him get the surgery. There's a better chance of him coming back than let's say, oh, we're hopeful for the best, Boone there. It's right in front of us, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for that, no, let him, if the guys are hurt, let him get the surgery. That's it. And then maybe they have a better shot at coming back than this lingering and taking forever.
No, that was a huge mistake. But then again, third base, you probably would be shocked me saying this. I actually do want Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to come back. As much as it sounded like
I wouldn't be mad if he played third base for another year till we figure out
thing.
something that goes wrong. I'll be perfectly fine with that.
That's my thing. A lot of people assume that the IKFA I give to him is because he's not a good hitter. I have no problem with his hitting. I've never complained about his bat a single time
Yeah,
this whole season.
because
It
that's
was
exactly what we need at the bottom of the order.
exactly, and his speed. My only problem was him starting at shortstop. I didn't like him at shortstop. That didn't mean I didn't want him in the lineup. Yes, I
Mhm.
wanted Isaiah kind of fell left of the play because he's a contact bat.
Yeah.
But I wanted him at third base because one, he won a Gold Glove there,
Mhm.
and two, that's better than Josh Donaldson probably his bat. So I do want Isaiah kind of fell left of the play third. I do want DJ to kind of be like you said, playing whether it's third or second, wherever it is, not every day because I want to keep him healthy.
Mhm.
Cabrera, I want to be the next Marvin. I'm sorry, I don't care about Marvin Gonzalez no
Oh
more.
yeah, I don't think he's coming back, but
You
yeah,
can
we need him
go.
to be
We
valued. Yeah.
have Cabrera now. He can
Mhm.
play second when DJ obviously can't play. He can play third when Isaiah kind of fell left for, let's say, maybe. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't think he would play bad at third because he won a Gold Glove. But if he does, you put Cabrera there. Cabrera, I want to be my utility man. I want him to be what Marwin was supposed to be because Marwin wasn't playing because I'm sorry, his bat was terrible. But with Torres is my I don't want to say odd man out, obviously other than Donaldson, but it's just tough because I believe this truly. Volpe is going to come up this year. I'm not saying he's going to be your opening day star. I'm not saying he's going to be there
At
in
some
June.
point, he'll be up. Yeah.
He will be on the 2023 playoff roster, and you can quote me on that because I do believe he will be on that playoff roster if we obviously make the playoffs, which I do think we will. Volpe will be there. I'm hearing they could probably transition him to second because he's really good at second, or if you have him at short, I don't know what they'll do with Peraza and Volpe, but that will be probably your shortstop second. And if hypothetically you trade Peraza for some reason, for whatever you trade him for, Volpe would be a shortstop, and your second base somehow would be DJ LeMahieu, I think, in the playoffs. But
Mhm.
Torres is kind of the one you look at when it comes to, let's say, playoff time. I know it's very early. It's like a whole 365 days early. You're gonna have hopefully Rizzo at first base. Maybe you have IKF at third, and if you don't, maybe Peraza is at third. If you want to have Volpe at second, but DJ has to be your second baseman if he's healthy. So where does Torres go into this? That's my problem with Torres.
Mhm.
He's not a bad player. He had an amazing 2019. Obviously, in the playoffs, he had
Mhm.
38 home runs, but that was probably the only season that he had that was wow. We need to keep this guy. Every other season after that, obviously 2020 was horrible. 2021 was pretty bad because he played shortstop and then transition. Last year was okay. I don't want to say good or bad because he had a pretty good start. He was kind of almost a all-star consideration, hitting 264, and then he had a huge dump off, and then he kind of picked it up a little bit, and then the playoffs was kind of okay. I don't see him being on the team eventually by the playoff roster because you want to maybe move Josh Donaldson. Eventually, Volpe is going to come
Yeah.
up, so I don't see
Yeah, it
Torres being
sucks
there.
because I do like Glaber a lot, and I like if he gets traded, I really hope for the best of him because he really was a good player. Here I just think logistics, numbers, and prospects of guys coming up and bad contracts that they've given out are going to hurt him more than anything. So yeah.
And then my last two quick questions there.
Mhm.
I keep hearing about Nimmo. I don't get, and I just want to ask your perspective.
Yeah, I got you.
Who's better,
So
Benintendi or
here's
Nimmo?
the thing. I was on Twitter yesterday, and I saw some Yankee fan going, Nimmo. He said, I don't care about average or this or that. Nimmo is like a 21% better hitter than Benintendi. Fine, maybe he has a better OPS getting on base, walking, and things like that. But the thing with Brendan Nimmo, I wouldn't be necessarily mad if they got Brendan Nimmo because he is a great leadoff hitter. That'd be a really good leadoff hitter to have.
He's fast.
But at the end of the day, what does walking look? Nimmo, what is he? A 260 hitter, maybe
I think it was like
250.
two. I actually think he was 280 this season, but career
But
wise,
yeah,
260,
he's not. Yeah,
250.
it's again free agency year.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not that good of a hitter, and this is the issue. Yes, he could get on base and walk, but what happens in October when you're gonna face the good pitching and then you need him to get a single? It was the same thing like Joey Gallo. Now Nimmo's a way better player than Joey Gallo, but it's the same philosophy of yes, they get on base and walk a lot, but what happens when you need them to get the hit? And so I'm not going to be necessarily disappointed if they get Brandon Nimmo, but for the Yankees and the way they're built, they need Benintendi for the hitting and the contact. We saw against the Mets and Max Scherzer. He beat Max Scherzer. He got 2 doubles or 2 hits in that game that brought in RBIs. Benintendi is the left-handed DJ LeMahieu. You need those guys to beat the Justin Verlanders, the Framber Valdez's, the Manuel Clases in the postseason. You need those contact hitters. So I'm not going to be mad, but I hate the fact that some Yankee fans think Nimmo is the way better player and that they need him. They don't need him. They need Andrew Benintendi to play.
I 1,000% agree because my point is I don't understand why people keep saying Nimmo. Yes, he's a great leadoff hitter. Yes, he's
Mhm.
fast. he's not a Gold Glove that Benintendi is. I'm not saying he's bad defensively, but Benintendi won Gold Glove. I looked
Yeah.
at Nimmo; he's never won it. First of all, with Nimmo, he does go into the approach like you said. They want to probably that's the way it looks like Dylan Lawson is doing. They just want to walk.
Yeah.
I want average. I know a lot
Yeah.
of like fans don't like average for some weird reason. I think I would rather have someone with a high average than being walked a lot because
Average is still
playoff
the most
time.
important stat in baseball for hitting.
thousand
I
percent.
don't care. I don't care what all you little nerds out there say
That
analytically and whatever. It is the most important stat. If you look at the good 98 Yankee team and those dynasty
average.
teams, they all had good average and the ability to hit home runs. It can't be one or the other. You need, I mean, it can be average, but it can't just be home run hitting either. Those guys stink. They
Yeah.
stink. I hate this. Joey Gallo's a good player. He stinks.
Yeah, he had a lot of
like
what was it, 38 home
yeah,
runs, but a
he's
terrible
terrible. They
average.
need more average hitters in the game, and that's what's killing the game right now.
But
You
now
don't
with the
have enough.
shift being taken
Yeah.
out, I think it would definitely help. But no,
Mhm.
Benintendi has to be your left fielder. I can see if Nimmo is plan B, but he shouldn't be. It should be only
Shouldn't
plan
be.
A, and
The
that's
Rocky.
it.
There's a report that came in yesterday that the Rockies are going to pay him 110 to 115 million dollars in a contract. Do not do that.
Yeah,
Do
the
not do that
Yankees
at
don't
all.
do
He is
that.
not worth that type of money.
And
Let another team overpay for him.
no, I
Yeah.
100% agree. You have to get Benintendi back, and that needs the lefty DJ. So
If Benintendi's not back next year, I have no faith in this Yankees team.
thousand
No faith.
percent
No faith.
because you won't have that lefty bat,
Mhm.
and you need more lefties. Obviously, that's your more lefty.
Yeah.
He's a Gold Glove, and
Mhm.
he's just look at all his numbers throughout the years. Like he's had a pretty good average. He was hitting 300 this year, even with
I've always
us.
wanted him since he was a Red Sox.
I did too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
looked at
Yeah.
him, and I remember that the year 2018 was when I
Yeah.
seen him, JD Martinez. I seen that whole lineup. I was that team was good,
Yep.
but. My last question. I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw a report. Not a report. I think it was Yankees Avenue talking about Sean Murphy as a catcher that they would
Yeah.
love for it to get him. I looked at his numbers compared to Jose. Jose was hitting I want to say 238, 242, something like that, and Murphy was hitting like 250. It wasn't a big
So
difference. Do you see Jose Trevino being the starting catcher for the next season?
yes, I do see him being the starting catcher. And now it was concerning. Now what Trevino did in that stretch where he was hitting 260 or 280, that was not real. That's not real Jose Trevino. He's not that good of a hitter. But the thing is, I also don't think that last stretch that we saw was as good as what he really is. There's something in the middle there than what we saw. It was concerning that last stretch for sure. But the thing with catcher position right now, the Yankees don't need to trade for any catcher. They don't need to sign a catcher.
Thank
You
you.
can live with Trevino because here's the thing that I don't think people are realizing. In 2 years, the catcher, or maybe 1.5, I don't know. Whenever the automated strike zone comes, the catching position is going to be completely flipped upside down. Right now, everybody values defensive catchers, which is fair. You need to get those
Framing.
strikes calls because of the framing. But what happens when framing's gone? Then you need a hitter behind because at that point, all you have to do is block and throw. There's no framing. There's nothing that there's the catcher position is going to be. We've never seen this before. We've never seen a position like this completely change. You will now see more hitters. The teams will look for more hitting catchers now than they will care about defensive positions. If Gary Sanchez was coming up now, if he was a prospect now, he would probably be the number one prospect because of his hitting ability and not having to worry about him catching, having to frame, having to do this. It's so much easier now. You don't even have to catch the ball. Realistically, you don't. As long as it passes through where the zone is, it's a strike now, whenever that comes in and stuff like that. So the Yankees have a prospect, Austin Wells, who supposedly is a very,
him.
very good hitter, maybe not up there
Is he a lefty
defensively.
or no?
He is a lefty bat.
Okay.
Yeah. So you could just wait for him to come up. You don't need to worry about his defense in 2 years, and then you kind of go on from there. So I think the catcher position will be completely flipped upside down. So I don't think there's any reason to go out there, sign a Contreras, trade for a catcher.
100%.
I mean, the only one I would trade for, which is never going to happen, would be JT Realmuto. So I mean, that's the only guy that I would, yes, go get him, but that's not happening. So yeah, I don't think they really need to bug out about the catcher position. If they're 1 through 8 is solid and he's the 9 hitter, something like that. The thing with the Yankees in their lineup, my final remarks, they're doing what the Mets do. The Mets go 1 through 5 of good players, 1 through 4 of good players, and then 6 through 9 is what the heck are we doing? Like that's what the Yankees are starting to become. Those dynasty teams, those really good teams for the Yankees, 2009 team, 1 through 9, 1 through 8 were very, very, very good hitters. Or hitters that maybe the 6, 7, and 8 guys complemented the 3, 4, 5 guys. So they need to find better balance in their lineup. And until they do that, they will be the same old Yankees and never win a World Series.
Yeah, I got 2 quick closing remarks. One, I definitely see Jose Trevino being the starting catcher. It would be very dumb to not only spend money on a catcher, but try to trade your top prospect for a catcher. There's no point.
Yeah.
You're gonna have Jose Trevino there. I don't see Kyle Gashioka being the backup catcher no more. I think they'll probably bring up Ben Warford because again he's a lefty, supposedly
Mhm.
his defense and all that. Now I think I'm not sure. Austin Wells probably is gonna come up. I think it's 2024 from what I've seen, and that's when they'll do the automated
Yeah.
strike zone, which I love. I know a lot of fans don't because they
It's
want.
gonna be the best thing in baseball.
Yeah, they always saying, "Oh, the human element." No, I want to get calls right. Even
Yeah.
when we get a lot of balls that are strikes, I still kind of get mad. I'm like, just call the game right. So I'm glad
Yeah.
that they're bringing that. Austin Wells, obviously, they said he could play first or catcher because the lefty. That's great, his versatility. So he'll probably come up when that comes up. So I'll be very perfect timing. You don't have to worry about him for the whole
Mhm.
2023 season because he can develop there. And then you have Ben Warfare, who I think should be the backup catcher because you don't have to expect too much from a backup catcher. He could get his at bat
Yeah.
in the major league when technically I think this year was supposed to be the year where he finally at least played.
Yeah.
So you gave him a whole year of probably being in the minor league, resting up, and now he could finally play in the major leagues as a backup catcher, which will help him his at bats, and then he'll get some experience for eventually Austin Wells to come up, and maybe probably Jose is out by then.
Mhm.
So that's your catcher. And my last remark I want to say is the biggest thing with Yankees free agency is one person out of everyone is Aaron Judge. I think that they're gonna probably go for him because I'm gonna be honest. I know I sound a lot of sometimes two-faced with Judge's playoff performance. You need Judge because he's pretty much a gold glove at right field. You've seen the historic season he had. I'm not saying he's going to have that every season, but if he's healthy, he'll probably produce in the playoffs. I mean, not the playoffs, the regular season, because
Mhm.
you need him to at least make the regular season with his WAR. Whatever happens in the playoffs, I mean, we'll probably complain in his contract, but you do need him for the regular season.
he
So,
he is our version of Alex Rodriguez.
yeah, you
Great regular season player. Couldn't get it done in the postseason. But if I'm gonna play the game here, Judge comes back and he plays. The minute Judge has that good postseason, like A-Rod did in 2009, we will win the World Series.
100% agreed.
Yeah.
We all said in one of the previews, if Judge goes, we go. And I think we were
Mhm.
expecting Judge to kind of go. I'm not saying he was going to hit like Bryce Harper's hitting now 400,
I
but
thought he at least hit
something.
280,
That's what I
260.
said.
I didn't think
Yes.
130,
I
125, whatever this
100%
is.
agree.
Yeah.
We need Judge for us to win a World Series, and we do need him in the regular season because that's how he'll even get us to the playoffs. So that was obviously my remarks. I really hope that a lot of things start to pick up soon with a lot of free agents talks. Of course, it's not going to start because the World Series on today. Uh, I hope let's go Phillies. I know
Astros in
that
4.
I see the Astros winning
They're
100%.
they're they're they're, they're with the
They're
sweeper.
gonna
They're
win.
winning
They're gonna
4.
win. But I'm just saying, let's go Philly because I want them to win.
Yeah.
But Houston is
Plus, a little
so
fun fact: if
dominant.
Philly wins, and the Mets and the Marlins are the only two teams that haven't won a World Series in that division.
That'll be
Shout out to the director.
that would be great. But hopefully the Phillies win. But I do see the Astros winning. But let's go Philly still. I really pray and hope, even though they probably won't. But hopefully next week, maybe we'll pick up on some of that. You'll probably see Hal Steinbrenner and eventually I think Brian Cashman will be signed by next week. They'll start to be on interviews. I saw that
Yeah,
they
you
they
saw
weren't
that. Yeah,
allowed until next week, so hopefully that picks up. But I appreciate you for having me today.
yeah, no
I
problem,
know it
man.
went long, but obviously it's Yankees off season. You had to go big with the blueprint. So I'll probably see you guys next week with some other type of content which will come out very soon. I don't think it'll be Yankees baseball because again, season's over and off-season talks will pick up later. So I appreciate you, Matt, for
No
this
problem.
and
You guys will
this.
see me sometime hopping in here,
Yeah,
out helping Hobby, but till
yeah,
until the
he'll
off
be
season
there.
baseball picks up,
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
see you
definitely
guys.
still be around for a couple basketball stuff too. Eventually, the Knicks
Yeah.
talk, but we'll see. But appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.